Welcome back to RNG Small Ball. If you've been following along this postseason, you already know it's been one of the more entertaining runs we've had in a while. Today we're going deep on both conference finals, what happened, how it happened, and what it means heading into the NBA finals. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button now and turn on notifications, because the finals start Wednesday and we'll be covering all of it. The Eastern Conference Finals was framed as a competitive series on paper. Donovan Mitchell had been the highest total scorer in these playoffs. Cleveland had won a Game 7 against Detroit in the second round, and the Cavaliers had home court in the series. However, in practice, it played out as the most one-sided series of the conference round, with the Knicks sweeping Cleveland 4-0, and doing so with an average margin of victory of 23.7 points. Game 1, however, told a very different story for 3 quarters. Cleveland built a 22-point lead with under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, at which point most reasonable observers were writing the Cavaliers a win. What followed was one of the better comeback sequences of this entire postseason. Jalen Brunson took over entirely, scoring 15 of his 38 points in the fourth quarter and overtime to fuel a 44-11 run by New York. The Cleveland Cavaliers shot 22% for the remainder of the game after holding that lead. Final score, Knicks 115, Cavaliers 104. Brunson's full stat line, 38 points on 15 of 29 shooting, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals in 46 minutes. That game set the tone for everything that followed. Game 2 went differently in terms of approach. This time it was Brunson as the distributor, more of the scorer. He finished with 19 points and a postseason career-high 14 assists. And New York ran Cleveland out with an 18-0 scoring run in the third quarter that effectively ended the game. Josh Hart added 26 points, a playoff career high for him, and the Knicks starting 5 combined for 96 points and 12 made threes. Mitchell had 26 points for Cleveland in this one, but the supporting cast couldn't sustain anything offensively. Final score, Knicks 109, Cavaliers 93. By the time Game 3 came around in Cleveland, the Knicks were locked in and the Cavaliers were running out of answers. Brunson scored 30 and Mikal Bridges had 22 on an efficient 11 of 15 from the field. OG Anunoby added 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists, and Josh Hart contributed another double-digit effort. New York took the game 121-108 and became the 10th team in NBA history to win 10 consecutive games in a single postseason. The Cavaliers had Evan Mobley with 24 and Mitchell with 23, but it wasn't close. Game 4 was the clincher, and the Knicks went to Cleveland and made it look easy. Karl-Anthony Towns had 19 points and 14 rebounds. Landry Shamet scored 16 off the bench. Brunson added 15. The final score was 130-93, and New York dominated in every secondary category, outscoring Cleveland 32-5 in second chance points and 33-9 in fast break points. When it was over, the Knicks had swept their second consecutive series and were headed to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Brunson was unanimously named Eastern Conference Finals MVP. His series averages 25.5 points, 7.8 assists, and 48.7% shooting across 4 games. He was without question the best player in the series, and the reason the sweep unfolded as cleanly as it did. It is worth noting what those numbers represent in context. This is a 29-year-old point guard who has now engineered 2 dramatic comeback wins in this postseason, and done it against a Cleveland team that had legitimate defense. When Dean Wade had shut down Brunson to 1 of 16 shooting in the regular season, there was pre-series talk about that matchup. It meant nothing. For Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell's individual ceiling is not the issue. This team around him could not produce at the necessary level in a 4-game window, and that is the fundamental problem heading into whatever roster decisions come this offseason for Cleveland. If the Eastern Conference Finals was a sweep with an asterisk on Game 1, the Western Conference Finals was the inverse, a 7-game series with a handful of games that weren't close at all, bookended by performances that will be talked about for a long time. Oklahoma City came in as the top seed, the defending champion, and the heavy favorite. San Antonio came in as the 2 seed, making their first finals-adjacent series since 2014. The series produced arguably the best individual performance of the entire postseason in Game 1, and one of the more compelling momentum swings of the season across Games 4 through 7. Game 1 was played in Oklahoma City and produced an instant classic. The Spurs won 122-115 in double overtime, and Victor Wembanyama put up 41 points and 24 rebounds. Those numbers matter beyond the box score. He joined Wilt Chamberlain as the only players in NBA history to put up 40-plus points and 20-plus rebounds in a conference finals debut. Dylan Harper, a rookie, added 24 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 steals, the first rookie to produce that statistical combination in a playoff game since Magic Johnson in 1980. OKC had Alex Caruso going for 30, and Jalen Williams with 23. and the game was tied at 105 with just over a minute left before going to double overtime. It was that kind of game. Oklahoma City responded in Game 2, winning 122-113. The Thunder cleaned up their process offensively, and San Antonio could not replicate the historic output from Game 1. OKC's depth began to show here. Caruso off the bench, Chet Holmgren protecting the rim, the team rotation functioning the way it did throughout the regular season when they claimed the league's best record. Game 3 went to OKC as well, 123-108, this time in San Antonio. The Thunder bench had a record-setting performance and limited Wembanyama's inside impact. The Spurs were now down 2-1 and facing a genuine deficit. Game 4 was the series pivot. Wembanyama came out aggressive from the opening tip, hit a 3 to open scoring, added back-to-back alley-oop dunks, and then capped the first half with a half-court 3 at the buzzer to put San Antonio up 47-38. He finished with 33 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, posting a plus 29 for the game. More importantly, San Antonio's defense was the difference. They held Oklahoma City to just 33% from the field and 18% from 3, forcing 17 turnovers all the while. And SGA had just 19 points on 6 of 15 shooting. The Spurs won 103-82 and tied the series 2-2. Game 5 went back to Oklahoma City, and the Thunder reasserted control. SGA scored 32 points, Caruso had 22 off the bench, and Jaron McCain, playing in his first playoff start due to injuries to Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell, scored 20. The Thunder shot 52.5% from the field, and Wembanyama was held to 11 points on 4 of 15 shooting, and was pulled from the game with 2 minutes remaining as San Antonio was down 20. Thunder led 3-2 and were 1 win from the NBA Finals. Game 6 in San Antonio was where Stephon Castle became the name of the series, with Wembanyama putting up 28 points and 10 rebounds and setting the tone from the opening minutes. Castle focused his energy on SGA and limited him to 15 points on 6 of 18 shooting. The Spurs won 118-91 to force a Game 7, and this was the kind of defensive performance that second-year players simply are not expected to produce in a game of that magnitude. Props to Stephon Castle. Game 7 was on the road in Oklahoma City, and the Spurs won it 111-103. Wembanyama scored 22, and Julian Champagnie, largely a depth piece for most of this run, hit back-to-back three-pointers worth 18 points, 18 of his 20 on the night coming from behind the arc. Castle had 16 points, and De'Aaron Fox added 15 in an efficient team performance. SGA led Oklahoma City with 35 points, but it was not enough. San Antonio had done it. They knocked out the defending champion on the road in Game 7 and are headed to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2014. Across the series, Wembanyama was named Western Conference Finals MVP. His averages: 27.3 points, 10.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 2.7 blocks, 1.4 steals, and 2.3 threes per game, in nearly 38 minutes of action per night. Those are genuinely historic numbers. The blocks and rebounds led the entire postseason, and Wembanyama is only 22 years old. For Oklahoma City, the lost end was supposed to be a championship defense. The hamstring issue affecting SGA across the final stretch of the series cannot be overlooked as context. But the Spurs deserve this. They got contributions from multiple players. They adjusted their defense game to game, and Wembanyama simply dominated when it mattered most. Moving on to the NBA Finals matchup, this is a rematch. The Spurs beat the Knicks in the 1999 NBA Finals in 5 games. It is also a rematch of this season's NBA Cup championship. Both of those facts add texture, but what matters now is what these two teams look like in June of 2026. San Antonio has home court advantage as the 2 seed. Current models give the Spurs a 63% win probability heading into each of the first 2 home games. The keys to this series break down on both ends. On offense, the Spurs are going to run their sets through Wembanyama. He is shooting the ball from distance, finishing at the rim, and drawing foul after foul. His combination of size, skill, and mobility at a 7'4" height creates matchup problems that are genuinely without comparison in the league right now. The Knicks do not have a rim protector who can credibly contest him one-on-one at full extension. Karl-Anthony Towns will be asked to guard him for stretches, and that is a difficult assignment against someone operating at this level. The question for San Antonio is whether De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle can generate enough off the ball to space the floor adequately when Wembanyama is being doubled. On the other side, the central matchup that everyone will be watching is Brunson vs. Castle. The defensive numbers from the regular season are stark. In 38 career possessions guarding Brunson, Castle has held him to 5 points on 28.7% shooting. Brunson himself acknowledged the quality of Castle's defense in his pre-finals media availability, calling his intensity and tenacity exceptional. But those regular season numbers have been cited before this postseason. Dean Wade was supposed to neutralize Brunson in the Eastern Conference Finals based on similar sample size advantages, and it produced nothing. Brunson averaged 26 points and 8 assists anyway. The structure around both stars also matters. New York's depth, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, Landry Shamet off the bench gives them legitimate contributors at every position. They are on an 11-game winning streak and their margin of victory in recent games have been exceptional. The Knicks' second-chance scoring, fast-break offense, and ball movement have been elite in this run. For the Spurs, the depth question is how long they can sustain this level. Castle, Dylan Harper, Julian Champagny, Fox, they've all contributed in the Western Conference Finals. But they also have had games where the supporting cast was inconsistent. Against a Knicks team this locked in, inconsistency from the role players will be punished. My prediction is Spurs in 6. Wembanyama is the best player in this series and arguably the best player in these playoffs overall. Home court in San Antonio for games 1 and 2 is a meaningful advantage. And if they can split the first 2 games on the road in New York, games 3 and 4, they are well positioned to close it out. I would expect Brunson to have at least one signature performance in this series. He has not shown the capacity to disappear in a close game, but Wembanyama's combination of offensive volume and defensive impact is the kind of two-way production that tips series. Finals MVP goes to Victor Wembanyama. That is your complete breakdown of both conference finals and everything heading into the 2026 NBA Finals. Game 1 tips off Wednesday night in San Antonio, and we'll be covering all of the major storylines involved in this series. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. You don't want to be catching up on these episodes a week late. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.